The idea of this next unit is to really push home the idea that SIP was designed to be extensible. Now that we understand the rules, descriptions and definitions of the core RFC, we're going to move on to discuss how this foundation becomes the starting point for a host of exciting, productive and revenue-generating communication services. For me, the compelling reason to use SIP is not so much what it can do for us, but what we can do with it. Remember, SIP is a set of tools and resources designed to be exploited by you and me to do even better, more exciting things. SIP was designed to be open, flexible and extensible. We've seen from the text-based messages how SIP is open in that it's human-readable and easy to understand and exploit. Perhaps more to the point, though, SIP is open because it's created by an open community with open access to all. Anyone can study the spec, contribute to its evolution, and make use of it. It wasn't created behind closed doors for restricted use like we see in some of the big corporation protocols. So what about SIP being flexible and extensible? To my mind, SIP's flexibility and extensibility comes down to how SIP says you can make your own. As well as standard requests, the invite, ACK, buy, etc., SIP says you can make your own requests. Perhaps you have an idea that needs a new request type that, when other SIP devices know what to do with it, will be key to a great new service. Likewise, SIP says you can make your own responses within family types, responses specially pertinent to your new service. SIP even says you can add your own custom headers to a message, perhaps to convey additional data needed by the service. Rather than breaking the specification, SIP positively encourages this kind of thing and the support of new and exciting interactions. Now, SIP makes it clear to all SIP devices if something's not recognized, then simply carry on as best you can. For an unrecognized request, well, respond with a 400 type unsupported type response and then carry on. For an unrecognized response, well, make a judgment based on its family type. Anything beginning with a 4 is a client error. For an unrecognized header, well, simply ignore it. Now, this philosophy prepares the way really well for people to get creative and start coming up with clever ideas. It provides a framework for innovation, and it's in this kind of environment that really interesting things start happening. When we learn about standard foundation SIP, perhaps by reading the RFC or taking this course, we learn about the nature of the SIP tools and the characteristics of the SIP ingredients. We even learn how to put them together to produce some tasty but basic services. But that was never its intended scope. Its hope and intention has always been for us to learn the foundation specification and then to extend things, to apply our own experience, our innovation and creativity, and come up with a whole host of delicious goodies. Some examples? Well, take this guy. He's building a SIP registrar server. He's learned all the rules and descriptions of how a registrar behaves, but because he's creative, thinks, how about I add some of my own custom functionality? The registrar knows when users are on or offline. Why not allow them to see each other's status? Build extra stuff in the server and a special client application, and hey, presence is born. The subscriber sends a subscribe request, a new request not defined in RFC 3261, populating the to header with the address of the presence entity or the presentity they're interested in. The server responds with a standard 200 OK to confirm reliable delivery, then checks the registry to see if the presentity is registered. If not, it returns not a 400, the subscribe's already had its final response, but an asynchronous notify request, another new request type not defined in RFC 3261. Its payload populated with the not available presence data. The server then makes a note to remember and update the subscriber when the presentity next registers. Then, when he does, as well as updating the registry, It also updates the subscriber, sending another notify request with an available status in its payload. How about this one? The developer's building a SIP user agent. She knows all the rules and regulations of how a user agent should behave, but thinks, why not include some additional functionality of my own? How about building an extra dialogue in the user agent interface for text chat? And send the text in a new type of request not found in RFC 3261, the message request, including the chat in the message payload. The message request sent to the server, perhaps for standard SIP location, and standard 200 OKs sent back to confirm reliable delivery. Instant messaging over SIP. Why not? It's interesting. These services, are they proprietary or standard? Well, I guess it depends when you ask the question. When the guys first came up with these ideas, they'd have been proprietary. But now they're standard. There's a process of evolution at work. Someone has an innovative idea and implements it with proprietary SIP. He creates a proprietary message with a special new proprietary purpose. After a while, others in the community recognize its benefit and, rather than recreate it themselves, come together and define a standard, an open standard that anyone can implement if they want. They define a SIP extension. Do a quick search on Google and you'll find lots of SIP extensions that do just that. It's through this kind of process we can genuinely say SIP is open, flexible, and extensible. So, in summary, the SIP RFC defines a foundation set of devices, processes, and behaviors through which communications are set up and managed. SIP was never intended as a final, complete solution. Rather, it was designed to be extended for more innovative and interesting services that add value and generate revenue. SIP can be extended with new requests, new responses, new headers, and new complementary behaviors. Extended custom services may in time become commonly accepted and defined formally as SIP extensions, like presence and instant messaging,